University Teaching Hospital is one of our affiliation hospitals where the residents can improve their knowledge and skill. Faculty of Medicine at Langga University is the second oldest faculty in Indonesia. Dr. Sutomo Hospital is a public hospital owned by the government with most complete services in East Indonesia. In its development, Dr. Sutomo Hospital continues to develop Central Laboratory of Clinical Pathology. Clinical Pathology Department also has 5 divisions of subspecialization program established 2015. Other than that, provide solutions that can help maintain and overcome health problems until now. Clinical pathologists and all the residents always give the best effort to be the leader of education and service to support the vision and mission of Dr. Sutomo Hospital. The Central Laboratory strives to continuously improve and maintain good quality services in accordance with international standards. The long and winding journey has been traversed by the faculty in its efforts to transform the knowledge in the field of medical science and devout science to improve the welfare of the nation, the state, and humanity. University Teaching Hospital is one of our affiliation hospitals where the residents can improve their knowledge and skills. Good afternoon, Professor Narazah.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, how are you today, Prof?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good.
Yeah, it's nice to see you today.
Yes.
Okay, maybe we can start the lecture, Prof?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof.
Afternoon. We are welcoming to our guest professor, Prof. Narazah, and all of the audience. Today's meeting continues last week's expert lecture in a series of the lectures from Prof. Narazah, our guest professor from USM, Malaysia. This afternoon, Prof. Narazah will give an expert lecture with the title Writing High Impact Journal Article. Please, Prof. Narazah, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rufida, and also Dr. Paulus for the introduction. So I will share my slides today. Okay, can you all see the slide?
Still not yet slideshow, Prof.
Not yet, no? Okay. Okay, my button is a bit hidden. Can you see the slide now?
Still not the
Okay.
slideshow, Prof.
All right. Okay. How about now?
Okay, yeah.
All right. Okay. So Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. Selamat petang kepada semua ya. So the topic that we are going to discuss today is about writing high impact journal articles. All right. So I think being researchers and also clinicians working in a university which are achieving some certain KPI, for example, KPI rankings in whatever metrics that we are using, for example, the Times ranking or other kind of ranking, which are, I think there's about 13 or 14 rankings now to rank the university. So whatever it is, which ranking that we are, being academics and researchers and clinicians, we are expected to publish. All right. So what do we mean by high impact? Impact obviously means citation. The impactful the publication is, the more will be the citation. All right. So high impact publications also means high citation. And as we know, there are many bibliometrics to assess or to determine the research impact. And we can look at this. There are a lot of examples of bibliometrics. For example, looking at the citation and age index from different resources, Web of Science through the Clarivate analysis, Scopus, Google Scholar, or Publons. All right. So if we take, for example, the age index, if we look at the age index is actually originally from Professor Hurst from Department of Physics, University of California. So let's say if we say your age index is 15, it simply means that at least 15 of your publications has been cited 15 times. There are also another version of age index, which is I100 index. For example, I100 index of 268, meaning that at least 268 of your papers have been cited 10 times. So the reason why I'm showing the slide here is to show the different, bibliometrics to assess how impactful is your paper and how much is the citation. So we as researchers, we have to know all this, at least the basics of, looking or assessing the citation and age index from the different database. All right. All right. So how do you benchmark your research? As again, citation remains an important metric for us as academics. But we know that citation practices can be imperfect. There are caveats. For example, an author cites extensively his own publications. All right. So this is one of the imperfectness of citation practices. The other reason could be papers are cited which are inappropriate or ambiguous in the support of your data. All right. So other reasons may be that authors may form citation correlations within the research networks. That means I cite your research, and then in your next paper you cite my research or recite your publications. All right. So there are other various reasons as well. For example, different geographical languages, can give rise to imperfect citation practices. All right. But we as scientists working in institutes, we are judged by the number of citations of our papers in scientific journals, and the common practices is, project funding depend on these citations, all right? So no matter what it is, no matter the imperfectness in the citation practices, we as researchers, we have to practice the best on publishing. So what matters is how we write our paper and where you put your data. So this will be the gist of our discussion today. So even though citation is is controversial, it remains an important metrics for us as academics. And the more is better. The more you are cited, the better. All right. Okay, so the discussion, the main discussion points here today are, choosing the journal that we want to publish your research data. And then we look at a review of recent publication trends from top publishing countries, so as to determine the type of journal that you want to publish in. And I'll share some hints and tips to improve our citation counts. All right, first thing first, where do we aspire to publish? Which journal? Okay, for us working in clinical pathology or medical sciences or biosciences, these are, the areas that you would like to consider. For example, biochemistry, biomedical, molecular biology. All right, so first thing, we would like to publish in a journal that has a stringent peer review. All right, so stringent peer review is very important because the reviewers that have been selected are usually from the same field of your research area. And if a reviewer is not stringent or meticulous, the quality of the journal will be affected. All right. And what about the formats? Okay, so there are different formats of journal. For example, the journal should be equivalently visible for print only or electronic only publication, or by two ways of publication, that is either by hard copy or also online. All right, so you have to know the differences between print journals and electronic journals. All right, so ideally, of course, the journal or your paper should be searchable in Medline, PubMed, Scopus, and Web of Science. All right, so these are the criteria of which journal do we aspire to publish. Okay, this slide actually shows an example of the journal that is produced by USM, the institution where I'm working. All right, so this journal is called Journal of Biomedical and Clinical Sciences. You can, for details, you can go to this website. All right, so at the moment, this journal is found on Google Scholar and also My Journal, which is my journal site, which is available in Malaysia only. And if of course the it's not either in Q1, Q2, Q3 or 4 for that matter, but this is, let's say, if it's under for the ranking, it is printable but under other publications, okay, non-index journal. So maybe I introduce here just in case there are students, whether postgraduate, undergraduate students or lecturers who are interested to produce in this journal, okay, Journal of Biomedical and Clinical Sciences. All right. So if you look at the slide here, this slide shows the number of academic journals over the last 20 years or so. it shows that the number of academic journals have increased significantly over the last 20 years in biochemistry and biology, all right, and in total. So this data actually were collected from the Insights Journal Citation Reports database from Clarivate Analysis, April 2019. It shows a significant increase of total number of journals over the years, and also increase also in biochemistry and molecular biology journals. So it also shows here that there are so many journals to choose from, all right? So that comes to the next question. Since there are many journals, so many publications, you know, the number of journals have been increased. So is it easy to get published? Does it mean that because there are so many journals, it's easy to get your research article to be published by this ever increasing number of journals? So back again to the choosing the journal, all right? Most important is, you know, you have to be honest about your own work. Only you yourself know what is the impact of your work, all right? So choosing a journal that is suitable for your publication can be, it is very important, all right? So you have to publish in the relevant journal that, you know, that has been described here, you know, they should have stringent peer review, for example, all right? And then easily accessible, okay, and then the data can be, the database can be acquired by, you know, for example, Web of Science, for example, Medline, easily searchable. So choosing that journal is important, but again, it's difficult. Of course, it requires skill, all right? So the first thing is, you know, when it comes to skill, okay, you have to be familiar with your own field. You have to do a lot of literature search, all right? And you have to have an up-to-date information about that particular field that you're going to publish. For example, what has been published or what has not been published. So the knowledge gap again is important. It's like doing a literature review for your, you know, when you are applying, proposing a research grant. So you have to be familiar with your own field, and you have to know the updates about, you know, the area that you are going to publish. All right. So by knowing all this, you know the scale of your importance of your work based on novelty, the impact, and the priority. All right. So without, if you are not familiar with your own field and you don't have updated knowledge, you won't know the impact of your research, its novelty, and the priority. All right. Because high impact journals, they have their own priority, which is to publish novel findings that have a major impact. For example, new mechanisms or disease or change in management of a certain disease, for example, all right? So again, you know, high impact journals, they look for novelty, all right? And if, for example, you are replicating your study, you know, your study is the third study, but you are replicating the first and the second a study about, you know, a certain subject, and it's more or like your findings is more of a confirmatory studies or more confirmatory findings, and this is simply to replicate the earlier papers that were produced. So this will not be the priority of high impact journals. All right. So be honest about the quality and impact of your work. And we usually think very highly of our own research. All right. Usually, you know, we can't help. We think that our research, you know, has produced a novel finding, a very good finding. All right. But you know, it may turn out that, you know, the impact, the priority is not there for the journals to produce your work. So how do you go about to assess whether your quality and impact of the work is there? All right. So say, for example, if you have conferences or meetings, you may want to present the results of your study. And if the results or discussion has generated a lot of interesting questions, especially from experts, you can gauge that, the impact of your work is there, all right? And sometimes we as researchers, including myself as well, including me, we would like to cascade down our manuscript. That means first you aim to send to the highest impact journal, for example Q1 or Q2, and then if it's rejected, you go down, you downgraded the scale, because you go for the highest impact first, then you go down. This can be done, but remember that it may take a lot of time. All right, and you want to produce your results you want to publish your results as soon as possible, right? But if you practice cascade down, it may take a longer time for you to get it published. All right, so therefore what you have to do is to check the aims, interests, and scope of that particular journal. This is very important for you to choose a journal. So judging the quality of your work accurately and target the most suitable journal is very important. And these are the ways that you can do it. Okay. So between journals and authors, there is a delicate balance. The journals need us as well, as much as we as authors need the journals. So the responsibility of the journals are they want to produce high quality scientific paper. So to get a high quality scientific paper, you must produce a high quality research, must be performed, and good research must be done. All right. So the journals are the custodians of scientific endeavor and advancement. All right. And we as aspiring authors, our aim is to produce a good high quality document. All right. And then we have to publish sound research, okay, seeking to publish material that has an impact, novelty, and potential. Not only it has an impact and novelty, but the other thing is, your sound research also must elicit the potential for stimulating further discussion and research. All right. Okay, so no doubt, high quality research will produce high quality scientific paper. So in this way, the two parties will achieve what they aim or what they target. So we as researchers, we must do good research. How do we do good research? Formulate an important research question. And most important, do not work alone. All right, you have to work in a team. Do not work in silos. And if you work, you work alone, or you work, you don't tend to get the views of experts as well. This is, can be likely to produce poor quality research output. All right, and the research also must have a sound study design as well. All right, study designs actually is one of the important things that the reviewers look when they are reviewing research or draft manuscripts. Sound study design also will give advantage to the reviewers that the results are reliable, and the results also can be reproducible if the result is repeated by other people. All right. So you have to do a good research, all right? And only high quality research will produce a high quality scientific paper. And these are the things that you have to watch out for to produce high quality research, okay? All right. So the ideal peer-reviewed academic journals of good standing is very important. All right, and these are the some of the important things that you would like to look out for in ideal peer-reviewed journals. All right. So again, the journals must have good visibility, widely indexed, and appeal to a general audience. And journals with strong link to academic societies. For example, academic society, a particular society produce a particular journal. All right, for example, American Society of Pathology, they produce journals on its own. So journals with strong links to academic societies are also things that are beneficial because usually they have highly reputable investigators on their boards and advisory committees. All right. So the other thing that we would like to look out for is journals with solid and time-tested reputation for quality, irrespective of current impact factor. It means here that some impact factor may sometimes, reduce and increase, all right, over the years. But if that journal has a solid and time-tested reputation for quality, we wouldn't want to, look at the waning impact factor. All right, and then a journal with high quality peer review, they usually have careful revisions, and when requested, and they also seek good revisions of submissions as well. So the peer review here, high quality peer review here means that, during the first amendment, for example, the reviewers also again do their careful revision, revision of the amended manuscript. All right, so and they are on watch out for revisions of the submissions during the second time. And then some journals, they have unfair pricing. All right, so this is in relation to predatory journals as well. Some journals have unfair pricing for both subscription and open access journals. All right, so we try to avoid these journals that have unfair pricing. Okay, so this slide actually shows the total number of citations for top 10 publishing countries. All right, so if you look here, USA still leads the world in all publications and specific publication types. All right, so it means here whatever the publication type, for example, meta-analysis, review paper, and systemic review or research article or original research articles, USA still leads the world in all publications. All right, so this data is from 1995 to 2015. But you can see here, even though USA is the top, and China and UK are also, increasing in trend. All right, so this is in all publications. All right, and then if we look at this data from 1995 to 2015, the top graph here shows that China has superseded US and all other countries. They are leading in meta-analysis. So in meta-analysis, China now publishes more compared to the other countries. All right, and the graph at the bottom here shows USA is leading in systemic analysis. All right, whereas for meta-analysis, China now publishes more. So it simply shows here that a country, if they put a lot of efforts in their publication practices and initiative. All right, so they can also supersede and be the top country. All right, so we see here that China has published more. But you see also some other countries are also increasing in meta-analysis and systemic reviews publications. Okay, so what requires you to write a good research paper? All right, so a good research paper or publication need all the points as indicated by the particular journal. Okay, they have any particular journal, they have their own instructions for authors. All right, so now we have come to the stage where your paper is, and after you have complied with all the all the regulations and the policies about the journal that you want to the paper that you want to publish in that particular journal. So now you have the liberty to write a cover letter to the editor-in-chief or the chief editor. All right, so writing a good paper is another topic by itself. All right, so so we will not go through that, but now in hand you already have a draft manuscript and you have chosen your journal, and now you want to sell your journal to the editor-in-chief. All right, you only have one chance, one shot, and you must get it right. So a journal, you need to write to the editor-in-chief. This is a requirement of particular journal. All right, so one of the tip is that you address the editor-in-chief by name. Okay, so this information is available in the homepage of that particular journal. All right, if you address a person by the personal name, that will give a good starting point. Avoid making a mistake in the name of the editor or the journal. This sometimes happen. Okay, it can sometimes happen to any of us, to me included. All right, for example, the name of the editor is wrongly stated, or the journal is wrongly stated. This happens when when our paper have been rejected by the first journal, and we want to send to the second journal, and we forget to change the name of the editor and the journal. So this is unexcusable. All right, I'm sure the editor-in-chief will be very angry and very cross, and the first impression, the editor-in-chief will say that if since you are not careful about the basic information, what about the content of the the draft manuscript or the paper or the research publication itself? So this is not a good start point. Okay, and then the cover letter should not be too long, too short, or too long. Do not repeat the abstract. All right, the abstract is there. Don't repeat the abstract. If they want to know further, they can read the abstract, but you should not repeat the content of the abstract. All right, so now remember, you want to sell the article to the editor-in-chief. So when I say here, do not repeat the abstract, but you must highlight the novel abstract. All right, so you must take great care to attract the editor's attention and provide a reason for your paper for external peer review. All right, avoid careless mistakes. As I said, can happen frequently, such as addressing to the wrong editor or in wrong journal. Okay, so next, highlight the novel aspect. Why the journal readership would find this important, and you have to indicate why this work work fits the journal remits and the scope. All right, the requirement of the journal, why it fits the journal's remit and the scope. So this is important when you go to the website. What is the requirement of the journal and its scope of the journal? Okay. Point number 6 is you may want to let the editor-in-chief know whether your manuscript was rejected. And you may want to attach previous reviews and your response to them. I put a question mark here because this is not compulsory. Sometimes you may want to do it. Okay, you may want to say that the manuscript was rejected and then previous reviews were there and have been taken. You may want to attract the editor, but sometimes you do not want to do so. This is not compulsory. And the other important thing is disclaimer. All right, disclaimer here states that you have to tell them that this manuscript has not been published elsewhere and not currently under consideration by another journal. You have to do that because it is unethical and unbecoming if you send to one article to various journals simultaneously. All right. So the other important disclaimer statement is you have to say that all authors have approved the manuscript and agree with its submission to this journal. All right, so this is an important disclaimer that you must not forget. Okay, so how to improve your citation counts? All right, citation counts take years to accumulate, but you can help to boost your citations in a number of different ways. All right, and the more you write and publish, the greater the number of citations. All right, so we aim to write more, publish more, so that the number of citations will be increased accordingly. So I didn't mention here that one of the reasons for you to increase your publication is one of the importance is for example, for internal assessment, you're going for job promotion or external assessment, for example, for use in the research excellence framework of your country, and proxy measure of the quality and impact of your work as well. Okay. So how to improve your citations? Among the hints and the tips are, the title. All right. So I'm sure you agree with me that, the title is the first window to the world of research findings that you're going to tell, right? So the title is very important. You have to choose your paper's keywords carefully. This is very critical. And also keywords are useful for search purposes. For example, if you look at the Scopus database, they have a classification of keywords. You may want to use the keywords that are classified in the Scopus database, for example. So this is critical, the keywords. There are times when, in a particular institute, for example, the keywords are not based on a particular database. So the keywords are based on the lecturer's, feelings or assumption that the keywords are important. All right. So from our experience, when the keywords are used inadvertently or based on the assumption of the researchers, so the keywords might not match, and this will have an impact on the citation. All right. The other hint and tip is use the same name on all your papers and use ORCID. Please make sure that the same name is used. Say, for example, you want to use initials, make sure the initials are the same. Okay, so this only you yourself will know and decide what will be the name that you want to use on all papers, and this should be consistent. All right. The other hint and tips is you may want to cite your previously published papers, but accordingly where relevant, as I mentioned just now, citations can be a caveat if you cite your papers where it's not relevant, just for the sake of citing to increase the marks in citations. All right. So you may want to cite your previously published papers where it is relevant. And you also have to disseminate and promote your research wherever you can. Publish in journals that others in your field read, and try to publish in open access journals. So in the era of search engines and academic publications, database searching, keywords in your publications are critical. Keywords and papers and phrases in the paper's title and abstract are also useful for search purposes, as mentioned earlier. Okay. Okay, the other hints and tips of how to improve your citation count is to write review papers. All right, review papers, usually from studies, they have found out that review papers are more frequently cited as compared to non-review papers. All right, so the other next tip is submit to special issues of journals. Sometimes you may be asked by the editor of that journal to head special issue of journal. For example, the journal is on journal title is Frontiers in Neurology. So you have, but of course this is usually you have to be recognized by the journal first. You have published your paper in Journal of Neurology, and they are impressed with the highly cited situation of your manuscript. So they give personal invitation to you to head or to submit special issues of journals. All right. So they appoint you to be the head, and you can collect other authors based on that particular area. All right. So it may be a special issue journal of for example, in Journal of Neurology, a special issue on the use of the use of stem cells in neurological disease, for example. Okay, but this is based on your expertise. There's no doubt. Okay, if you publish in collaboration with other partners, for example, international teams. All right. So this is one of the ways to improve your citation count. All right. The other point is, just to make a statement here. Sometimes, somewhat bizarrely, papers that ask a question in the title have lower citation rates. Okay, these are already studies being done. For example, the title asks a question, is the treatment of a particular disease useful is stem cell, for example, stem cell useful in the treatment of acute stem cell transplantation useful in the treatment of acute myeloid leukemia? You ask a question. And from studies, it's found that papers that ask a question, the title have lower citation rates. So we don't know what's the reason for that. It's not attractive, all right? Of course, publishing with big names in the field is also one of the ways to improve your citation count, okay? The size of the paper and reference list correlates with the citations counts, of course. The more your references are, it will, correlate with the size of the paper. But of course, again, the references will have to be relevant and significant, okay? I think this one is connected review papers. It's just basically, saying that, review papers are thought to have, noted to have more citations compared to the rest, okay? So another study has found that articles with short titles describing the results are cited more often, okay? Again, titles containing a question mark, containing a reference to a specific geographical region, and that use a colon or a hyphen will associate with a lower number of citations. Articles with results describing titles were cited more often than those with methods describing titles. Okay, this is very clear. The title of the article with reference to the results, they are cited more often than those articles with methods describing rather than results describing. Okay, and then mentioning a country. Avoid your title as abstract or keywords, mentioning, a country. This is less appealing to the international committee, all right? So, what about disseminating your research in meetings or social media, as we have mentioned earlier, all right? So, one of the ways to increase your citation is disseminating your research in meetings and social media. Authors and medical journals have begun to harness the power of social media to interact with their readers online, okay? So if you have not done that, you may want to look at the various ways of the social media to disseminate your research findings, okay? Just now I mentioned, meetings, conferences, promote your research. You may want to promote your research in as many places as possible, all right? So the next is tweeting the research. Don't be afraid to promote your own research work, all right? To promote your own research work, you may want to familiarize with your institution's social media guidelines, for example. So this is referring again to the ethics as well, ethics of publishing, ethics of, publishing with, the authors as well, who are the authors to include, who are the authors that can be acknowledged only, who are the people that can be acknowledged, okay? So, before you want to promote your own work, you have to familiarize with the institution's social media guidelines as well, all right? And then, you have a clear sense of purpose, for example, you want to use hashtags, but use this wisely, okay? This is pertaining to tweeting your research. The other way is not media release. Okay, sometimes universities has their own university press, which you may want to harness these facilities that have been given to you. All right. For example, you want to publish, your university has its own press and then publish its research books or research findings. So find out what your university has provided for the researchers and academicians alike. Okay. So, but most important is to harness the power of the social media to disseminate your research through either meetings or social media. Okay. The next slide is maximizing the impact and visibility of your published research. As I mentioned earlier, so when an article is submitted for publication, citation analytics features available features, for example, multidisciplinary database enables you to monopolize on the key components for mining important metric-based quantitative data to measure impact. Okay, so these are the quantitative measure to quantitative data to measure the impact. All right, the authors' names. So, you know, obviously the authors' names are very important, significant in determining who are the key players in that field of particular research. Also, institutional addresses. Okay, you would definitely get attracted if the institution is a well-renowned institution, you know, among the top 100, for example, top 50 in the world ranking. All right. So the institutional affiliation data, including institute name and address assigned to a publication, is commonly captured to track citation counts. Okay, and this is one of the criteria used to rank international performance and subsequently published in global university ranking tables. All right, so this is again sharing of experience from, you know, our institution. All right, we have had instances whereby, you know, the name of University Science Malaysia is not standardized. All right, and this may not be captured if you don't use a standardized affiliation. All right, so, you know, over the years we have tried to tell the researchers, you know, to use the standardized affiliated name for the university. All right. So the example that I give here is for University Science Malaysia. Or initially, you know, when the researchers are not aware, they will write university as University, UNIVERSITY, University SITY, but the international affiliation is University, 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 and then science. You know, we are known as University Science, SAINS, Malaysia. So science is spelled as SAINS, but some of our researchers, you know, they automatically write science as is in English, SCIENCE. All right, so this can have a bearing on the capture of the data for the global university ranking. All right, so the journal in which you publish, okay, this is not only an indication on the field of expertise, but also the implicit measure of the prestige of accepted papers. Next is the references. The references included in a paper can be highly effective way of tracking citation patterns and impact both within and across the discipline. All right. And again, the emphasis on the keywords, all right, and concepts. Online publishing and dissemination is changing the way researchers write articles. To be spotted, articles must be structured with search engines in mind, all right? Like what was been mentioned. Say, for example, you want to use the Scopus search engine, so you have to use the keywords based on the structured list of keywords that are in Scopus, all right? Okay, so the process, in summary, the process of publishing a manuscript in a high impact journal actually starts with choosing an important question, designing a sound study with statistical power, all right? So it starts from, the research proposal, writing a good research proposal, and then design with a sound study, and perform the work with integrity and attention to detail. Okay, that will result in a production of an excellent manuscript. Okay, so once you have written an excellent manuscript, submitting it to the right journal is important, and responding to reviewer comments fully is also very, very important. All right, so you may want to submit to the right journal, and then if the journal is not rejected, and the journal, the reviewer has asked for a major revision or minor revision, so you can you respond by doing the amendment and revision accordingly, and then by responding to the comments and resend, there is a chance of, even chance of being successfully published, even though the comment is major. All right, so responding to reviewers' comment is also another part of another create another lecture by itself. All right, submitting a manuscript or doing how to write a manuscript, which we have not touched today. So basically what I have done today is how to increase your citation. Maybe the subject of writing a manuscript, formulating a manuscript has already been covered by other experts already. So I think this is the last part of the presentation. So there is nothing more satisfying in being an academician or researcher when you see your paper published and visible to the outside world, because that is our duty as a researcher working in a university, whether you are a scientist or a clinician. All right, you have to produce. That is part of our amanah also, to disseminate knowledge to others. All right, so with that, thank you very much, and maybe we can just go to question and answer. Back to Dr. Paulis. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Prof. Narazah, for your very clear explanation. Yeah. Can we start with the discussion, Prof?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can.
Okay. I will read the question from the first audience, Dr. Thea Putri. Good afternoon, Professor. I want to ask, if we have entered a manuscript in a journal, how long can we wait to get a reply or response from the journal, or maximum time for waiting? Can we also enter it into another journal while waiting? Because sometimes it takes a long time to get a response from one journal. Thank you, Prof. Narazah.
Okay, Dr. T, thank you for the question. you cannot submit to another journal. It's not proper, and not I shall say not ethical, but ethical is very subjective. Once you have sent to a particular journal, you have to wait for the response. It may take a long time. All right.
Okay. It may take
But
a long time, Prof.
The answer is that the answer is
Okay.
You may want to email and get the response, but you cannot submit to another journal.
Okay. It is clear. Okay, thank you, Prof. The second question from Dr. Puspa: if our paper had been rejected by previous journal, so what kind of disclaimer we write in letter to the chief editor? Can we tell that the paper had been rejected before or not stated the information in the letter? Thank you, Prof.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Puspa, for the question. This situation kita kerap jumpa kan. Okay, like what I said just now, whether you want to tell the editor or not, it is up to you actually. All right. You may want to tell the editor kata that the paper has been rejected. In the situation where the reviewers' comments are there. Okay, then you may want to tell the editor kata the comments, this paper has been rejected with the following comments, and you want to show that you have done the necessary revision to the paper based on the comments. This may attract the editor. All right, tapi simply say that the paper has been rejected without showing that you made the efforts to improve the paper is not good lah. But I think we being the authors, if the paper is rejected without comment, you may want to revise the paper, right? What have you gone wrong, and you may want to do the amendment based on how you feel about the paper.
Okay.
Thank you, Prof. Narazah.
Okay, the third question from Dr. Yulia. Yeah, thank you, Prof. Narazah, for the detailed explanation. I want to ask: are there any rules for answering reviewers' comments if she or he asks for additional data of the research while the research has been completed?
Okay.
About additional data.
There's no rule to that. All right. So you may want to write to the editor based on the comment that the study is not cannot be done anymore because there's no more money for the reagent, but you can try this, but don't be rude. Most important, don't be rude, and give a reasonable explanation. All right. So if sometimes the reviewer's comment is valid, because if you do additional, or you have additional data, that is not there and you want to provide. But if you need to repeat the study, do the study, continue the study, then you don't have the study is completed and you don't have any more money to do further. You have a right also to defend. They may take your accept your reasons for not providing the additional data. It has happened to us as well. We have two reviewers who agree. Not one reviewer agreed, minor comment. Another reviewer say major comment. They want additional data. They want us to repeat the experiment, but we reply accordingly, and not in a rude way. All right, and we tell the reason. If the reasons are justified, sometimes they accept. because reviewers also sometimes make mistake.
Thank you, Prof. Narazah.
Welcome.
The question from the Dr. Munawaroh. Thank you, Prof. I want to ask, how can we know how long will the journal take time until our manuscript being published? Is there any particular concern how to choose a fast-track journal, Prof? What is your opinion, Prof?
For the first part, how long the journal will take time, it depends on particular journals, right? It's not easy, you know, because it also depend on the reviewers' comment and how long you take to do the amendment. All right. So fast track journal, you know, well, there are journals that produce as they so claim fast track, but you have to be careful. Don't be caught by the so-called, you know, fast track journal, because sometimes they may be predator journals. All right. So as again, I shall say that the reputation of the journal is important. How to look at the reputation? You know, we have different ways of looking now, looking at the, you know, clarivate analysis, look at the journal impact factor. You know, we have, I'm sure the university has that, right? You know, in Scopus, for example, Scopus database, Shimago database, right? The, you know, JCR. So you can go to the list of the journals according to their rank, for example, in the Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. So that is again looking at the reputation of the journal. So if a journal is in the JCR, for example, journal citation ranking, so, you know, for example, even if it's in Q4, so the journal has a reputation, right? So at least see the journal whether it is in the, you know, Scopus, for example. So that's why university must have all these databases for researchers. I'm sure you have, right, Dr. Paulus, where we can check whether the reputation of the journal is intact or not. Because you know, I think, yeah.
Can we see the cycle of the journal, Prof? In the
Sorry?
1 years published, how many times?
Yeah, sometimes if you go to if you Google, you know, it's not really accurate, but you have to have this, you know, usually I think in USM, we have the librarian who keeps you know, database of which journals are indexed in Scopus, which journals are indexed in, you know, JCR, or, you know, the clarivate analysis. So I think for me, it's good to start there first, Scopus. All right.
Okay.
And then, you know, you can also look what I mean is the ISI index, ISI Scopus index. All right.
Okay.
So don't be caught up by you know, sometimes, you know, once you have produced, somehow the journals, the non-reputed journals will catch hold of your name, and they will write you, you know, many emails asking you to send articles to them, manuscript to them. Do you have the same situation, Dr. Paulus? So you know, some journals will just write to you. Okay, don't be distracted. You have to check the reputation of the journal as well. And then fast track journal, sometimes they ask a lot of money, you know. And the reviewer, you know, I think we as reviewers, you know, we have to take some time to review an article, right? We cannot just review the article within one day, right? Because there are a lot of processes. You have to check the novelty. You yourself as reviewer have to also go to database as well, go to PubMed to see whether the paper has been published before, whether it's a repetitive study, you know. So a fast track journal, sometimes you have to be wary of that as well, I think. Okay, so
We
check the
should avoid
reputation.
it, Prof. Yeah, we should
Yeah.
avoid fast track journals. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be careful. Fast track. Don't be don't be caught out. Usually there's a lot of fee. The fee is quite substantial. Most
Okay, Prof.
important, don't be caught in the predator journals, for example. Don't be caught.
Okay, thank you, Prof. This is my question, Prof. I would
Yeah.
like us to ask you, what is your opinion to a citation that is not related to our research, but it is a requirement for the publication in some journals, Prof. In Scopus journals, as the editor asks the writer to do so.
Meaning that Dr. Paulus has been invited as a reviewer.
Yeah, the reviewer asked me to cite the other research that is not related with our research, Prof.
Okay.
In Q3 journals, Prof.
So you have been asked to review articles that is not related to
Not
to your
review.
research.
They want us to cite the other articles from their journals. That
To
is not,
cite.
yeah, to cite
Oh.
their articles, other articles from their journal, but the article is not related with our research.
Okay. You can cite if it's relevant and related, but if it's not relevant, just for the sake of citing and increasing the citation, then it's not proper, I shall say.
Okay.
Right.
The editor told us to cite the other experiment or research in their journal, but it is not related with our research.
Oh,
And
I see. Yeah. I think
some
we
journals,
have
Prof. Some journals
we have had experience in that as well. Where sometimes we may think that, you know, the person who recommended that wants his article to be cited, right? Yeah. So you can reject in a nice way. Refuse in a nice way.
we can reject it, Prof.
Yeah.
but this is the requirement from the journal, Prof.
Oh.
To be accepted, Prof. That's the problem. Usually the journal from Ireland, Prof. From Ireland.
From Ireland.
Iranian
Okay.
journal, Prof.
Most important, don't be rude.
Okay, Prof. Thank you. Is there any question from the audience? No question. Maybe no question anymore, Prof. I think it is enough, Prof. Yeah. For this lecture today. Thank you very much, Prof, for your very nice and very clear lecture this afternoon. Thank you very much for the audience. I think we can close this afternoon session.
Ya, foto dulu, Dr. Paulus.
Iya.
Foto.
Dari panitia ya, foto dulu ya. Bisa foto dulu.
Izin dokter, saya pandu ya dokter.
Iya.
Please, all participants can open your camera. We can take a photo in third count. 1, 2, 3. Next, 1, 2, 3. Next, 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Dr. Paulus. It's all.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Pardon me.
Prof. Narazah.
Pardon me, Prof. Narazah. Would you please continue to the group discussion after this lecture, or we can arrange another time, Professor?
Can we break for
About
10 minutes?
Oh yes, of course, Professor. Okay, thank you, Professor Narazah.
Yeah,
Thank you,
I'll come back in 10 minutes time. Thank you to all. Thank you, Dr. Paulus again and Dr. Rofida for the introduction. Thank you to the organizing committee. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you,
Narazah.
Prof.
Habis ini ada apa, Dokter Tea?
Izin dokter, ada grup discussion untuk yang jurnal, sesi jurnal discussion, dokter.
Jurnal siapa yang maju?
Divisi hematologi, dokter.
Oh iya.
Izin kami tutup dulu linknya
Iya.
Zoom-nya nanti kami buka kembali, nggih, Dok.